Somewhere in the highland forest on the border of Nigeria and Cameroon, something is watching you. It is a brain capable of problem solving, empathy, and grief. It's been named the really famine often of Trevet. Ninolin defined it. There are fewer than 300 of them left on Earth. This is the Cross River gorilla, and it is disappearing.
300 individuals, that is not a typo. The entire global population of Cross River gorilla remain every feet in could fit inside a single synod, and if they vanish tomorrow, a set people are close to speed.
If they vanished tomorrow, most people on Earth would never know a subspecies of our closest living relative had been lost forever. Today, we are going to make sure you are not one of those people.
The Cross River gorilla de Fila, Questwink, the Salulan, Tizzly Cudgeon in the N 2000. They are physically similar of the crops like the Sim Cottage, slightly smaller skull, different naturally patterned.
And a behavioral wariness of humans so extreme that most field researchers have spent years in their forest without ever seeing one face to face. To understand the Cross River gorilla, we must go back not 300 years, but 10 million. The Miocene epoch, the great apes were common and etc. to less approximately broke, but years ago, as Kratos but Bunfast was.
The ancestors of gorillas, chimpanzees, and eventually humans shared these vast green corridors. Gorillas from the Cames ancestor approximately 9 million years ago, spreading across the equatorial belt of Africa. At their peak forest was, and the forest was everywhere.
The Cross River region, straddling Nigeria and Cameroon, is a biodiversity hotspot. Its steep highlands and layered forests have sheltered life for 1 million years, becoming the last refuge for retreating gorillas.
Subspecies are born from isolation. As African climate shifted rains or avalanches during a period, cypress to separated their population play a separate to crossback. Where between swallowed
Population, they evolved their own subtle differences over generations. They became, in their isolation, some distinct, something irreplaceable. 500 years ago, the Cross River gorillas existed in a world of relative abundance. Their range was connected. Family groups could move between forest patches. They had persisted through ice ages, through what they had not evolved to survive was us. Every morning, the Cross River gorilla family rises from nests they built night before, not creatures of fixed dens or permanent drowned of direction. They move. Every night follows path ever bad in new direction. The silverback, the dominant male, identifiable by the silver saddle of hair across his back that develops with age, is the first to move. Where he goes, the family follows.
Cross River gorilla is predominantly herbivorous. Forest forward of the gramina is abundant. It's been fruit as a diet. They shift the leaves, stems, such become tree bark, and roots for elite insects, termites for protein.
They have been observed using specific plants medicinally, selecting vegetation that contains antiparasite complex. What is their pharmacy?
Cross River gorilla groups typically 2001, the silverback is the social anchor of the entire group. He mediates disputes, leads the group to food sources, and provides a psychological security that allows mothers for a speaks.
When he chest beats a display that can be heard kilometers away, it is not aggression, it is communication. It is a statement of presence to neighboring groups.
Watch a young Cross River gorilla for 5 minutes and you will struggle to describe literally the contours of other potato hairs and it will as they flalic to the longish eating body gets they form branches of metric jewel.
Watch a young Cross River gorilla on a fitted fur let us beyond the stranded striding the nests and gold sentinels. They form prayers, shirks, the imitated walk courage that was bolted famine and peaches self as the ballman.
Gorillas have been documented using tools, sticks to test water depth, branches as walking aids, leaves as umbrellas during rain. Their emotional range is not metaphorical, it is neurologically documented. They experience hearing, joy, grief, fear, and affection in ways measurably similar to our own.
Communicate through a rapid laterally static conversation, so regardless of will chat the speed is for turn back that signals of far ace abandoned a place and practice lighted jazz marks.
Researchers working with habituated gorilla groups have documented what can only be described as social sophistication, the kind of nuanced emotional communication we typically reserve as a defining characteristic of humanity.
The Cross River Gorillas Range has shrunk to approximately 4,000 square kilometers and are scattered across some isolated patches. The primary driver is Vorbitzens farm, activities in the Kartuch and River, the Pellegrin and South with timber trench.
As the human population in the Cross River Basin has grown, forest assistant farming, kokorsu, kompol and tabrins, textions, out brown taste, station, perillas, borba, papich, and tibri lechadbish, but the forest keeps shrinking.
And a gorilla group that cannot move between forest patches cannot maintain the genetic diversity it needs to survive.
The second existential threat is direct hunting. Cross-river gorillas are killed for bushmeat, a practice driven not by tradition, but gorillas have learned to avoid forest poverty in empowered decades.
Camera trap studies in the region document something heartbreaking. Gorillas have learned to avoid forest areas where humans are active. They have become ghosts in their own home.
The conflict is not between heroes and villains to feed their family, watch the creos to law and hunger. The communities living alongside the Cross River gorilla had the most dilutive growth outcomes.
The animal's extinction and the economic cost of coexisting with it. Conservation that ignores this reality does not work. Conservation that engages with it sometimes does.
Here is the biology that makes the number 300 so terrifying. Population genetics has established the concept of minimum viable population threshold below which systems hunters evenetics for inbreeding between related individuals produces offspring with weakened immune systems, developmental abnormalities, and reduced fertility. The Cross River male BB below this. That golden four of its factors that have been happy to be inhabited Boshnibia pocket and pirate in that cribs not to worry.
Studying the Cross River gorilla requires extraordinary patience. Most of what science knows of them comes from camera traps, dung and alicid for DNAPM is conservation, metasopitin for durian and unkenstig endeavor of narrations for
The Wildlife Conservation Society, the WWF, and Nigerian and Cameroonian conservation agencies have spent decades building and picked up this animal from fragments. A footprint here, a camera trap, image there. Some that have researched a single gorilla with their own eyes.
Most effective conservation across river regions, local rangers patrol forest boundaries and from thornwood European base at micrograms per probability stated beside rarest, and increasingly are.
The most ambitious conservations for the tabages for the best patch of the divipications, the millennipotent patches, community-long relations, are dever incentives, are protect or replant triadens.
Communities along proposed corridor routes are being offered incentives to protect or replant trees rather than clear. In long-term strategy, trees take decades to grow into usable habitat. It is the only biological solution to the genetic violation. Some corridors are already being walked.
We are not talking about statistics. We are talking about individuals. Each silverback dries, whether to a poacher snare as with genuine perks violence. When a silverback dies of the torb to money males, infants too young to still divide the weaver.
Geneticists, conservationists, and the communities of the Cross River region all agree. We are at the last possible moment. What happens in the next 10 years will determine whether this animal exists in the wild at all.
He doesn't need our pity. He doesn't need our wonder. He has existed in these forests thousands of years before we named him, before we began to count how few of them remain. What he needs is simple and utterly within our power to give. The forest. Just the forest. Uncut, unburned, his.
If this video moved you, if you looked into those eyes and felt something, then you want it, not for the views. So wildlife things and share it. Sure could be able to use the logic ways work in Cameroon and subscribe for more story of the animals that need us voice.
for the 300. Support the Wildlife Conservation Society's Cross River Gorilla Program or the WWF's work in that need a voice. And remember, the most endangered great ape on Earth is not a creature of the distant past. It is alive right now.
In a forest that is shrinking, waiting for us to decide what kind of species we want to be.
This film moved you? If it reminded you that the wild world is worth fighting for, please share it, subscribe, and stay wild.